So that's why we are looking at this seemingly small or invisible, intangible aspect of social work practice that has the power to make or mar the efforts of a social worker. You don't need money to be able to listen actively, for example, except you are so broke you cannot eat, you can't feed yourself. Because if you're hungry, you can't listen. But I don't think it can get so bad that a professional will not be able to afford basic meals that can keep you physiologically stable. So outside of that, active listening, it's something we can practice, something we can act on, something we can do without soliciting for funds from anyone. The skill that we need to elicit information, there are things we can put together. Even as undergraduate students or fresh graduates, you can practice some of these things. You can use your communication skills to get someone to relax around you, so much so that they can tell you, they can confide in you. Let me just put it that way. They can confide in you. That's what a social worker needs in one-on-one, person-to-person engagements, or when you are engaging families in intervention procedures. You need them, the clients in those contexts, to be able to confide in you. Because if they do not tell you the truth, your intervention strategy will be misguided. For example, that number 4 under communication skills says that your communication skills demands that you be able to observe and interpret verbal and non-verbal behavior. We don't need money to be able to do that. If someone is telling you, if you ask someone, how are you feeling? And the person says, I'm fine, I'm okay. That is the verbal behavior. That is what the person said. But we are saying that you should be also able to interpret what the person has not said. As a social worker, you should be able to tell whether this person that said, I'm fine, I'm okay, is truly okay. When you are able to do that, we'll say that you have good communication skills. So, ladies and gentlemen, when we begin to make efforts to connect with people professionally in a way that will produce results, what are some of the barriers or challenges we can face in doing some of these things, in discussing sensitive emotional subjects, in creating innovative solutions? That number 7, for example, is where we can really talk about funds, but it's not all the time that we even need money to create innovative solutions. There are times that the things that will work may not actually require money that much. Meanwhile, methods that will get money may not necessarily function in some context. The most important thing is to be able to do an accurate analysis, like an accurate needs analysis of a situation, and then also come up with the fitting or the accurate, the apt procedure for intervention in that case. So I am not going to deny the fact that social work practice requires funding, because there are social problems that can only be resolved by putting some resources in place. Social problems that can only be resolved by empowering people to fend for themselves. And empowerment requires money. Making amenities available requires money. But on the other hand, let us not forget that God has created this world in such a way that the things that matter the most, they are the cheapest. I don't know if you will agree with me. The things that matter, to just prove that God is the one in charge of this world and not any human being, any organization, any government, or any authority. It is so that it has become so, or it is the reality in our world that the things that are most essential, they are either free or they are the cheapest. If it were to be a human being in charge of the affairs of this world, those things will cost millions. I don't know if you agree with me on this.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Who agrees with me that the things that matter the most in life, they are the cheapest or they are free?
Agreed, ma'am.
Can you
Agreed, ma'am.
explain what are examples of such things?
One of the things that are expensive and it's free in this life, I think it's oxygen.
Oxygen.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah,
Like the air we breathe.
the air we breathe.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, you are very correct. In fact, that is even basic. No matter what you have money to buy, you can buy expensive cars, build expensive houses, go on expensive vacations. But everywhere you go, you can only sustain your life can only be sustained by the air that you are breathing and paying nothing for. Unless a person falls sick and it becomes an emergency, that is when they begin to buy oxygen to sustain themselves. But if we can quantify the amount of oxygen we have used today, and then they tell us what it will cost, all of us will be amazed. But God has made it so that something as vital as that is free for majority of persons. Any other thing that we can point at that is essential but cheap or free?
Yes, ma. I can say one of the things that are essential in life, but then they are free. I can say one is peace of mind, inner calmness.
Inner calmness. Yes.
Yes,
When
ma.
you have peace in your mind, when there is no commotion inside you, no agitation, no conflict. You are just at peace. You are not competing with anyone. You are not envious of anyone. You are not jealous of what anybody has. That state of being, money cannot buy it. There are billionaires that are jealous of their gate men. That is the irony of life. A billionaire can be jealous of his gate man. A billionaire can be jealous of an employee in his office. A billionaire can be envious of his neighbor. So calmness, peace of mind, money cannot buy it. Look at something like water, for example. Water. How expensive is compare water with wine and all of these expensive drinks. But who is that rich man or woman? Who is that billionaire that will say he will no longer drink water? How long can that person live? Because they can afford very expensive drinks can now say, okay, no more water for me. I will only take wine and brandy. How long will that person live? So these are the things to prove that God is in charge of this world, and that the basic things that keep the world moving, the basic things that make life meaningful, they do not revolve around money. Look at a smile. Sometimes when you meet some persons and they smile, I used to wonder where they got those kind of smiles from. Some people have the most mesmerizing smile. When they smile at you, you feel as if you don't have a problem in the world. How much does it cost to smile? Nothing. So these are the things social workers should have as priority. What you need to make a person feel a sense of belonging, to make someone who has been suicidal to begin to look at life from an angle of hope and positivity. The things you need to get that person from point A of depression, hopelessness, and despair to point B will not be things you need to go into the supermarket to buy. Most of the times, the basic things are free. It is not just up to you to learn how to make use of those resources that God has made available to us, and then see how we can harness them to create solutions. So when you are able to do those ones well, by the time you get to the one that you need money for, the one that you cannot do without money, for example, if you are providing intervention in a medical facility as a medical social worker, you have patients on admission, they have to pay their medical bills. And definitely you need money to do that. But before you begin to source for funds to help a patient that can't afford to pay his bills, you must first of all be able to connect with that patient and give them hope. When they see you, when you walk into their world, let their faces light up. Let them force a smile even in the midst of their pain, because you are bringing in an aura of positivity. When they see you, they see hope. They know help has come. Money cannot do that. You can get all the funding, but then you are not communicating life. You are not communicating hope. So when you take a look at these communication skills, I want you to be able to tell clearly how you can develop these ones that will not require funding, and then how you can now still use your communication skills to solicit for funds when you get to that bridge. Okay, any other person, a question or a contribution from what we have said so far, maybe an observation, something you experienced and you want to talk about, or something you believe would be of benefit to us in this class. I also like to learn from my students. When they share some of their experiences, I learn a lot. If anyone has anything to share, please, we can spare a few minutes.
Okay, mine is a question concerning
Okay,
the exam. The exam is
all
going
right.
to appear. Are we going to use is it going to be computer based or with our smartphones? That is just what I want to know.
Computer-based exams, you can use your smartphones. Yes.
Okay.
Most
Okay.
clients
I'll
make use
send.
of their smartphones. A link will be sent to you.
Yeah.
So with that, when you click on that link, it will take you to where the questions are. The questions are multiple choice. So long as you have good internet connection, you just answer the questions and then submit, and you are done.
Okay, ma. Thank you.
Multiple choice, you just select the correct option, A to D, I think, and in a few minutes you submit, and that's all.
Okay, ma.
So it can be done on a smartphone, it can be done on a laptop, whichever one comes in handy for you. Okay, so can we look at slide 20? I pulled out 20 to 42 because I wanted us to first build that foundation of communication skills and the barriers and all of that before we come to this part. So on slide 20, we'll be looking at some of the characteristics of effective professional helpers. What are the things to look out for you so that you know whether you are doing well as a professional helper or not? There must be some indices to show. There must be a checklist that you can work with in order to assess yourself as you move on. We already said that a life that is unexamined is not worth living. So professionals must examine themselves from time to time. And we'll be looking at some of the things they look out for when they do that. Slide 21. Most of the time when providing intervention, social work practitioners go through these stages: preparing, beginning, exploring, assessing, contracting, working and evaluating, ending or termination. Preparing, beginning, exploring, assessing, contracting, working and evaluating, ending or termination. So, in all of these stages, you'll be needing your communication skills to move effectively from one stage to the other. So what do you think a social worker needs to do in that stage of preparation? What will a social worker need to do?
Please, ma, come again.
I'm on slide 21. So we are looking at the characteristics of effective professional helpers. And I said, in every intervention session that professionals embark on, they are likely to move from one stage to the other, beginning from preparing to ending. There are 7 stages there. So the first stage is that of preparing. I'm asking, what do social workers need to do at that stage of preparing? That is the question for the class. What do you think social workers would have to do when they begin to prepare for an intervention. Those stages are stages to be encountered during intervention. So what will you do? What do you think you need to do as a social worker at that stage of preparing? Angel, are you
Ma,
in class?
ma,
Mercy.
I think at that stage of preparing for an intervention is
Yeah.
when you get to do assessment. You assess the
No,
client.
no. Assessing, are you on that slide?
Yes,
Are you
ma.
on
That
slide 21? Assessing is
I'm on
not
the
is stage 4. How can you jump from preparing to assessing? That
okay.
is too fast.
Prepare. I just saw it, ma.
So we're on the preparing stage, preparing. What will a social worker need to do at that level?
Okay, the preparing stage is the stage where you get yourself mentally and emotionally ready.
Very good. That's excellent. You need to prepare yourself. If you get an alert of a case of child molestation or sexual molestation, maybe an anonymous call or message comes to your facility alerting you of the case of a minor being sexually molested in a particular home, you have to prepare yourself because that's going to be tasking. You prepare yourself mentally, you check your tools, the tools you need, you have to check them. You check the resources available in your facility, and then you check that the support you will be needing, if that information turns out to be true, the support you'll be needing from maybe legal practitioners, law enforcement, you check that all of those things are intact. If you are going to be needing some form of mobility, you are sure that that is also available. You prepare by getting yourself familiar with the environment you want to go into. Not that you are not familiar with the terrain and you just pack your stuff and you move into the place and start asking questions. So that is that for preparing. What about beginning? What do we do at that stage?
Okay, ma. I think since the beginning comes after the preparations, that means the social worker will make contact with the client, with his or her client, and start working with them.
Yeah, you are correct. You have to make contacts at that beginning stage. That is when you are beginning. When you begin to make contact with the individuals involved in whatever you want to do. It might be a community project, a community intervention. Maybe there's a report of many out of school children in a particular community and is becoming a menace. Maybe social vices are beginning to be on the rise in that community because many children are out of school. You begin to make contacts. At that beginning, you make contact with the community heads, with the stakeholders in that setting, and you begin to document. It's at that stage you begin to document. If it's a one-on-one session, you do the clocking at that beginning. What you do at that beginning is like the foundation. If that foundation is wrong, every other thing will be wrong. So it's very important to get that beginning right, where you do the proper documentation, you meet the right persons at the right time. So the next one is exploring. What do we do at that stage?
Okay, ma. I think this exploring stage, this is where the social worker digs deeper into the client's issue, like
Mm,
gathering the information concerning
mm,
the client and the
yes.
rest.
Mm-hmm. At that stage of exploring, you begin to work on the information you gathered at the beginning.
Yes, ma.
That is
Another thing,
explore.
hello, ma.
Yes, Henry, go ahead.
Yeah. Another thing, that stage is the stage that you begin to understand your client's situation, the problem, and what he need.
Exactly. I think you have moved to assessing.
No,
When you start talking about the need, you have started doing assessment. Exploring is like digging deeper, expanding your scope of knowledge on the issue. If the client during clacking says, my parents are no longer together, my father is in Lagos, my mom is in Port Harcourt, my mom is now married to another man, and that man is in so place. Can you understand where exploring will now come in? Because the individuals involved are now branching out. The case is now branching out. There is the biological father in Lagos. There is the stepfather in Asaba. There is the mom in Port Harcourt. And you may need to touch on all of these bases. That is exploring. Going further to understand the situation. Going further to understand the problem. So that when you get to the next stage, which is the assessing, you know what you are assessing. You know what you're analyzing. Your assessment is like the point where you're concluding that, yes, this is the problem. This is truly a case of sexual molestation, or it is just it is just a panic a report. It is not yet as bad as that. You are already doing assessment. Like, oh, domestic violence in this case is related to alcoholism. The man or the woman is addicted to alcohol or drug, and it degenerates into domestic violence. You are doing your assessment at that stage. The next stage is contracting, where you begin to figure out the help of other professionals that you will need. As a social worker, if you discover that maybe a man accused or responsible for wife battering, for domestic violence, is addicted to drug, as a social worker, what will you do?
Ma, please repeat the question. I don't quite grab it.
I said, if as a social worker you are handling a case, and by the time you get to the assessment level, you discover that the case of domestic violence that you're handling is connected to the husband's addiction to drug or alcohol, what will you do? What's the next step?
Okay, let me say, for me, I think the first thing I would do is to first of all make research, like do investigation of what actually led to that drug use or alcohol use, tackle it from there, because trying to stop the man from being a drug user or an alcoholic, it doesn't end if you don't tackle the main reason or the things that makes him engage himself in such things. So you first of all make research to know why he is using it. Then you can counsel him on how to work on himself, pull him out of the use. Then gradually he can grow or learn how not to be violent.
Okay, thank you. Any other answer? Any other response? There are people in this class that are not talking.
Good
I
afternoon.
don't like it.
Yes, ma'am.
Good afternoon. Go ahead.
Okay, in my own understanding, I would say since the wife is my client, her husband is.
I didn't
Can you
say
hear
the
me?
wife is the client, though.
Okay, who is my client, please?
All of them.
Okay, the both
Because
of.
even if you started with the wife, at the end of the day, it will bring in the husband. So the husband has also been brought in. And you discovered that from your engagement with the man, from your interaction, you already know that he's addicted. He told you, you know. What are you going to do?
So I'll advise him to seek counseling
From where?
from
From his friends?
no, not his friends.
From where?
From a professional or a
Very good.
trained
Very good.
psychiatrist or social worker.
Very good. Very good. That's exactly where we are going. That is the contracting part of intervention, where you need to reach out. Because as a social worker, you are not trained to handle everything. You cannot handle drug addiction and, because a drug addict will definitely come to a point where they will need to detox. They will need rehabilitation. And if you have not been specifically trained for that, you shouldn't handle it. When you get to that point, you refer. So that is what you do at that stage. Contracting whatever is beyond your own scope of expertise to the right places. Henry, I saw your hand. Okay.
What I wanted to add on that, this contracting is the process of setting goals and for you to make your plans towards the action you want to take. I
Yeah.
think you can as well, make friend with the man that
That's,
is a drug addict. Then from there, you can be able to link him to any other professional that you want to link
yeah,
him to. Without
exactly.
being in good time with that man, I don't think that
Mm,
any other external body will be able to come in.
exactly. Exactly. You must, at that stage, that is already 1, 2, 3, 4. That's the fifth stage. So any skillful professional, by the time you get to the fifth stage, you must have been able to build trust with your clients. If at that 5th stage you have not built trust, then something is seriously wrong. So, like Henry said, by the time you get to that contracting stage where you want to say, okay, now I want you to go and see the psychiatrist, or I want you to go and see the psychologist, I want you to see a medical doctor. By the time you are saying that, the client must have developed trust in you to the point that they'll be willing to go where you said they should go. So, like Henry said, if you have not developed that rapport with them, you say, okay, I want you to go here. That's the last time. You won't see them again. So that rapport from day one, from that preparing stage, before you even meet the client at all, you must have put the right methods in place, the right verbal and non-verbal steps or skills that you will use to gain the trust of your clients, because outside of that trusting relationships, you cannot achieve much. So the next one is working and evaluating. That is where at the stage where you begin to actually engage, you begin to put your methods to use. You engage in that intervention thing proper, whether it's counseling sessions, whether it's home visits, they become consistent and measurable. As you are working, you are evaluating. Is the case getting better? The last time you saw this person, how did they appear? You are seeing this person for the 3rd time now. Are they looking any better? The first time you came to this neighborhood, this was what you saw. You are there now for the 2nd week. Is anything getting better? As you are working, you are evaluating. As you are working, you are evaluating. They are going hand in hand. Working and evaluating. Why is it that the two have to go together? Oluwaseun, are you there? Oladewa, Oluwaseun. Osinachi, Omasi.
I'm here, ma.
Who is talking? Oluwaseun.
Oladewa Oluwaseun.
Oladewa, Oluwaseun. How are you?
Very well, thank you.
Thank God we got a chance to hear your voice before the end of this course. Can you please talk to us? Why is it that working and evaluating must go hand in hand? Are you there?
Ma, can I try?
Who is that? Mercy.
Mercy. Yes, ma. Can I try?
Go ahead, please.
Okay, ma. I think working and evaluating should go hand in hand, because when you work and evaluate, it helps you to know the progress of your job, of the things you've done, how far you've come, to know if you're to re-strategize, if
Good.
the procedure, the step you're taking is actually working, or you should
Exactly.
re-strategize and look for an alternative way of
Exactly.
achieving your goal.
Exactly. Makes a lot of sense. Thank you, Mercy. Thank you. So what's going to happen if Faith, are you in class? Faith, Autumn.
Yes, ma. I'm here.
How are you? Happy Sunday to you.
Same to you, ma.
So what do you think is going to happen if we don't evaluate as we work. Like we just work for a long time, then we begin to evaluate after a long while. What is going to happen?
Ma, I think everything will go to waste. Because if you're working on if you're following a specific route to work on your client's case and it's not working, you have to change course. If you continue following through that way, it might not work out. It might not be of help to your client.
Yeah.
So you have to ensure that your goals as a social worker are being met.
All right. Thank you so much, Faith. I can see your hand, Lucky.
Yes, ma'am. Okay. I think it would be like, to me, it would be like walking in the dark, because when you're working without evaluation, it's like you don't know the direction that you're moving out. You don't know if what you're doing is right, if you're moving in the right direction or not.
Exactly. Exactly. It's like wanting to go on a journey and you just close your eyes. From the time the bus takes off, you just close your eyes. Like, I'm not going to open my eyes until this bus stops in a particular place. What if the bus is going the wrong direction? You now wait until the very end before you know that you've been on the wrong route all the while. Rejoice, let's hear you.
Hi, good afternoon, ma.
Afternoon.
Okay, so my contribution is that if you work without evaluating, it will be giving you wasted efforts. And also you have like repeated mistakes. Then you might also lack direction.
Exactly. So that evaluation is very important.
Very important.
Yes. So, with that evaluation, with regular evaluation, you can easily detect mistakes.
Exactly, ma.
That's what I think I heard you say.
Yes, ma.
Thank you very much. That makes a lot of sense.
All right,
Big Daddy.
Hello, ma. Good afternoon, ma.
Happy Sunday.
Same to you, ma.
Yeah.
We we would happen to if we happen to not evaluate as we work, like you said, like in the Christian, we would lack professional growth, because as a social worker, we won't improve or learn from our mistakes, and I think it will be leading to repeated mistakes, repeated errors.
Definitely.
So without evaluation, communication becomes one-sided, and it won't be effective, to be ineffective.
Honestly, I like that part that you connected communication with evaluation, because evaluation is what will make you look at the feedback you are getting.
Yes, ma'am.
You cannot evaluate without looking at the feedback. If you want to evaluate, you must look at the feedback you are getting. So if you are not looking at the feedback you are getting, communication will be one-sided. You are the only person giving out information. You are not receiving anything from the client. And with that, there is no way that intervention can succeed.
Yes, there'll be stagnation.
Oh, you made very, very, very salient points. One about communication being one-sided without evaluation, and the second one about stunted professional growth. Anyone that is working without evaluating can never make progress professionally, because you are not learning new things. You just believe your method is the best and you just keep going. Evaluation is what will call your attention to things that are not properly done so that you can improve on them. As you improve on those things, you'll become a better professional social worker. So thank you very much. That has been very, very helpful.
Thank you, ma.
Yeah. So you can drop your hands if you have already spoken. So I won't think you still have something to say. You have already spoken, just drop your hand. Good. Henry, your hand is up. Henry,
Yes,
you
ma.
can, yeah,
Yes,
you
ma.
have the. Mhm.
I like the word you use by evaluating constantly.
Yes,
You know, when you are implementing intervention on
yeah,
a client, that means providing support or help to person. Without
yes.
doing it, without the evaluation, I don't think that you will know when you are making progress on it or not.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that might make you, even the client will think that you don't know what you are doing.
Honestly.
You might be rendering service when you are not supposed to, or when you support
Mm-hmm.
offer
Mm-hmm.
service, you now miss miss the track. So I think
Exactly.
it's very, very important for us to check continuously. It's not something that you do, maybe you give gap. It's something that we check
Exactly.
constantly. Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. Thank you so very much. You see, you made a statement that is very, very germane. And it is the one you said that you if you don't evaluate, you may end up giving support where you're not supposed to. If you look at the next stage, it is termination, where you terminate the intervention. That is the next stage. And how will you know when intervention is supposed to come to an end if you don't evaluate? Because there's no intervention that is supposed to last forever. No intervention, no matter how critical the case is, there is no intervention that is meant to last forever. There must be a termination of intervention. That's why social workers don't waste time. You don't dilly-dally, you just do the right thing at the right time because your mind is on the the termination state. Then you must bring the intervention. You can't support anybody forever. That is why you are working on how to make your client self sustainable as quickly as possible, because that intervention must end at some point. But how will you know when it's supposed to end if you do not evaluate? The person you are supporting may have achieved the ability to stand on their own long ago, but because you are not evaluating, you are still there providing so-called support. If you are trying to teach somebody, let me just use that example. Maybe you want to teach somebody A, B, C, D, E, F, A, B, C, D, E, F. That is the goal of your intervention. But because you are not evaluating, you did not even notice that that person has learned how to read IJKLM, but you are still providing intervention for the person to read A, B, C, D, E, F. So that is how important that evaluating can be as we are working. So that, evaluating will help us to know when it is time to end or terminate an intervention. Thank you so much for calling our attention. That's why I always love to hear from my students. The angle they come from can be very amazing, because I wasn't thinking of this part of evaluating and connecting it to termination. I was not thinking of evaluating and connecting it to feedback and communication, like another person mentioned. So these are very, very useful contributions. Thank you so very much. Caroline, you have something to say?
Yes, ma'am.
Go ahead, please.
Okay. One of them is no accountability. As a
Mm,
social worker, when you
mm,
work without evaluating, there is no proof that the
mm,
intervention actually helps.
mm. Very good, very good. So, working and evaluating provides room for accountability.
Yes, ma'am.
Accountability is very important. You must be able to account for the steps you have taken, the resources you have used, and the results you are getting. a professional that is not accountable is not a professional. There must be some level of monitoring. When you know that there is a level of monitoring, that you have to give reports, definitely you evaluate, because if you don't evaluate, there will be no report to give. And if you are not giving report, you are just doing your work the way you like. There is no accountability. And where there is no accountability, there's no professionalism. Thank you so much. That one is a very strong one. Celestine. Celestine, your hand is up.
Yes, ma. Good afternoon, ma.
Good afternoon.
Yes, ma. I will say why the working and evaluating goes hand in hand.
Yes.
It helps to provide adaptability, and also helps in creating a feedback loop for evaluation to correct your mistakes and optimize performance.
Yes, adaptability. That is very important, because, you know, at the beginning, at that stage of beginning, you already planned your strategy. Say, okay, I'm going to meet this client twice a week, or I'm going to do this home visit once in 2 weeks. I'm going to reach out to the Ministry of Women Affairs. I'm going to call this gynecologist. You have already laid out your strategy. But if you are evaluating along with working, that's what Celestine just shared with us that I'm explaining, it makes adaptability possible. Evaluation will tell you like, I thought it was a gynecologist I will call, but I think I also need to call a psychologist. I thought I will only meet this client once in 2 weeks, but I think I have to make it once every week. That is adaptability. You are already adapting. You are adapting your strategies to the case, to the situation. And without evaluation, you will not even know that you need to change some strategies. So that is how important it is to fly with two wings, working and evaluating. And at the end of the day, you get to this termination stage. Thank you so much. That was very, very inspiring.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Celestine. So on the next slide, there are also some points there. Facilitative qualities. There are some things called I need you to take note of that. Facilitative qualities that social workers need in order to work well. Empathy, respect, authenticity. We already spoke about these things. On page 24, on slide 24, you find integrity, professional knowledge, critical thinking, lifelong learning. There's none of these that we have not talked about. Self-understanding and self-control, cultural competence and acceptance of others, social support and self-efficacy. What is another word for that self-understanding and self-control, according to what we've discussed earlier? What is another term that we can use to describe self-understanding and self-control? What's another word that we have used that we looked at yesterday? I'm on slide 24. Can you see self-understanding and self-control? Are you there? Is anyone there?
Yes, ma. We are here, ma.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
On that slide 24, can you see self-understanding and self-control?
Yes,
Yes,
ma, we can
ma'am.
finish.
Okay. So that is one of the qualities social workers need in order to do well in their job. So I'm asking that self-understanding and self-control, what is another word that we can use to describe it according to what we discussed yesterday?
I think it's self-awareness, ma'am.
Very good.
Exactly.
Awesome. Thank you. Self-awareness is the same thing as self-understanding and self-control. Every social worker needs that self-understanding, self-control. If, for example, you discover that you are always moody, you are not happy, you need to be aware of that. Sometimes, there are particular hormones that are responsible for happiness. There are hormones called happy hormones, hormones like serotonin, like dopamine, like oxytocin. These hormones contribute to how excited we feel. That's why some people never feel excited about anything, because those hormones are in short supply. They have deficiency in the hormones. Look at height, for example, something that most people think just happens by chance. Your height is determined by the hormones secreted by your pituitary gland. There is a gland in the forehead called the pituitary gland. That gland secretes a particular hormone that determines people's height. The color of your skin is determined by the amount of melanin you produce. All of these things are connected to what happens inside. So if you discover that you are always moody, you are sad for no reason, you need to understand yourself to a level where you know that, okay, could it be that I have some hormonal deficiency in this area or that area? For females, for example, during your monthly period, you need to understand how your body reacts, because within that period, the body secretes hormones in different levels for different persons. There is a surge in the sex hormones in different quantities for different persons. So your self-understanding will let you understand that, okay, this is what happens for me within this period. That is why some persons have severe menstrual cramps. There are biological reasons for that. And some other persons don't feel it at all. So you need to understand yourself. If you don't understand yourself, you cannot control yourself. And if you cannot control yourself, you can never do well as a caregiver. You can't do well as a caregiver. So those things are the qualities essential for effective service delivery in social work practice. There is also another category of factors that influence client outcomes. You can just note it like that. 4 general categories of factors that influence intervention outcomes, factors that influence results of intervention. 4 general categories. Let's look at the 4. The first one is relationship factor. I think that one is, everybody knows what that one is talking about. Relation, we have already said much about it today. Relation, one of you called our attention to that. I think it was Celestine or Lucky that told us that you need to have a good relationship with your client before you can start to refer them here and there. So in that case, he was referring to relationship factors, positive working relationship with your clients and others who will need to work with you, who you will need to work with at one point or the other. Clients and their dependents, clients and the people in their environment that may be involved in the matter. Positive relationship. You can never lose out on that. I know human beings are very difficult to deal with. We are not easy to deal with at all as human beings. Everybody you meet will say, people are wicked, though, people are wicked. This life, this life. But who is the person? You will never meet one person that will say, I am wicked, though. I am wicked, though. But everybody will say, this life, this life. So who is the person that is making this life tough for everybody? So we are all in it together. Everyone needs to look at themselves and see how you are making life difficult for other people. If I take care of my own, you take care of your own, then things will be better. So positive relationship is the way forward. There are people who don't want peace. Like the comrades will say they don't want peace, they want violence all the time. I don't want peace, I want violence. That's a joke. But I think there's an amount of truth in it, because there are some persons that appear like they don't even want any peace around them at all. As you are trying to calm things down, they are looking for another excuse to make noise and to accuse you and do all of those things. But be that as it may, just like the Bible says, as much as it depends on you, be at peace with everyone. As much as it depends on you. If there's going to be trouble, let it not be caused by you. At least you can do that bit. I'm not saying there will not be trouble in life. I'm not saying neighborhoods and workplaces are always going to be calm and serene. But if there is ever going to be trouble, let it not be caused by you. That is your own part. Positive, that is for that relationship factor. The second one is expectancy factor. Expectancy factor. You make it a point of duty to always encourage people, no matter how bad the situation looks like, be a source of hope. Sometimes life is so funny. A really bad situation may begin to change just because the people involved or the person involved in it believes that things will get better. Sometimes you can't explain the power of faith and hope. So it doesn't matter how bad the situation is when it is brought to you, don't make it look worse. Don't instill fear and hopelessness. There is a factor of expectancy that can truly bring a solution. If a student isn't, I had one very, very remarkable experience last week. Final year students in my school did their signing out last week, I suppose, or the week before. And I was so busy within that period because we were still running exams that I didn't step out. I only saw like one or two of them. I didn't step out to see them in their jubilation and all of that. So that happened on a Friday, and the whole thing ended. So on Monday, I think, the following Monday, I went to school, and was it Monday or some? I can't remember. I don't know if it was a Sunday. Maybe I went to pick something. I can't remember. Yes, I remember now. They had that signing out on Friday. The following Saturday was the last day of exams, so I was in school. Then these students that I've always known just came around on that Saturday and said she has one carryover to write and that she had a dream like 2 days or 3 days ago that she missed an exam, that it was a very terrible dream. So that carryover she wanted to write on the timetable was to be written at 11:30. But she came out in the morning around 8. She said she just wanted to come out. She doesn't want that dream to be fulfilled. So she was asking her from hall to hall, like, well, just to be sure that the exam was not in the morning. So when she saw me, I said, okay, fine, let's find out again. We checked the timetable and we saw that the exam will be in the midday, not in the morning. So I said, okay, fine, just go and look for a place to revise. So she left. After a while, before that midday paper will start, I had to pick something outside of school. So I was walking out towards the gate. So I saw the student sitting somewhere. So she got up and came to me, helped me with my bag, and we started talking and walking together. So when we got to the gate, I can't remember the question I asked. And she told me she had finished 500 level. I said, it's not true. She said, yes, she was smiling. She said her mom even came around on that signing out day. I was shocked. And do you know why I was shocked? I met this girl when she was in 200 level. We were writing an exam that semester, and she just stood on one of the corridors of the halls alone. I just saw this student standing alone, looking so depressed. So I went to her and tapped her. When she raised her face, I saw that she has been crying. And I asked her, what's the problem? She said that she doesn't believe that she can graduate from that school, from our school. That something is telling her she can never make it. That her results have been so bad. She has not been, in fact, it was tales of woe from page to page. So when I heard that, I asked her one or two questions. She told me about her mom, her father is late, her mom is doing this and that.
Me, where as I do this, I go collect, I see low collect.
I just took up our case like that, spoke to one or two persons to help me check our results, what our result has been so far. We looked at it and I saw that our performance was not that bad. And she was already thinking of dropping out because she thought she cannot make it. I just gave a little encouragement. And I met her, from time to time. And that was it, 200 level. So that day at the gate, that was the Saturday before the last, she told me she had finished. And she was laughing. She said, look at me, that I thought I could never make it. I thought it would never be possible, but I have finished. I said, do you have any other carryover apart from this one? She said, no, this is the only one. That she wanted her mom to come and see me that day, but everywhere was so crowded and all of that. What am I trying to say? Expectancy factor. Give people hope. Most persons who think they cannot make it, who think their problems have no solution, are only reacting to the current situation. But when you let them see the brighter side, it can truly produce results. So a social worker should be able to use that expectancy factor, relationship factor, expectancy factor. All of those things can work well. Then the model and technique factors. You need to understand that your strategies can also affect the outcome of a situation. The method you are using, you need to be very, very intentional about them, because the method of intervention you are using will definitely determine how your clients will relate with you. So, in all of these factors, the bottom line is that there must be mutual respect between clients and the caregiver. There must be sincerity in your expression of empathy. When you human beings, God has given us the capacity to know when a person is sincere or not. There is a difference between, people can smile, but smiles have categories. There is a smile that is called plastic smile. When you smile, a plastic smile, only your teeth will just show like that. Your eyes will remain the same. But when a smile is genuine from inside, the first place where that thing shows is not in your mouth, it is in your eyes. When you see a genuine smile, it first shows in the eyes of the person smiling, not in their mouth. But a plastic smile, you see, the person will just open the teeth, but you not see any warmth in the eyes. So we cannot achieve much without empathy, regard, authenticity. These are the things that will ensure that we get the results we need. On page 42, that is the last of that section of 20 to 42. I think we have already looked at what professionalism entails, and I would like to end here so that if there are questions, we can take them. I would like to end on that 42, where I started. I think that for professionals, these things must be in place. Integrity, your professional knowledge, that is your cognitive behavior. Self-efficacy means that you can identify your own situation and provide solutions. You can diagnose your own issues reasonably, your emotional state. That's emotional intelligence. You can look at yourself and say, why am I angry? Why am I shouting? You can tell yourself, please calm down. It's not as serious as that. You can look at yourself and say, please be patient. When you are standing in a queue, for example, and it's getting unnecessary, someone somewhere is wasting your time, you can tell yourself, calm down, don't shout, don't shout. While another person will not be able to do that, they will just start shouting and misbehaving. But you, because of your knowledge and self-efficacy, you can tell yourself, you need to calm down here. You need to calm down here. Some people will start counting from 1 to 10. By the time you count to 10, you will see that you're already calm. That is self-efficacy. It's part of professionalism. Ethical decision-making, critical thinking, lifelong learning, self-understanding and self-control, cultural competence and acceptance of others, social support. We've already talked about those things. So all of these things, I need you to look at them and see how good communication skills can help you achieve that. You see that when you are able to communicate effectively, it endorses you as a sound professional. But no matter what you know, if you cannot communicate effectively, you will still be looked at as a non-entity and a misfit in that profession. So communication skill is still the bedrock of professionalism. So here we are. Any question? Any question as I wish you all the best in your exams? Other sets have done this same exam, they've taken this course, and we've had no case of failure. Yours is not going to be an exception. The questions are not beyond you. They are simple, straightforward. Just calm down within the limited time you have. Read the question very well before you click on your answer. And I have no doubt that everyone here will also perform excellently.
Amen.
Amen.
Yeah.
Amen. Thank you, ma.
Thank you so much. I'm about to sign off now if there is no
But
question, so that I can prepare for.
excuse me, ma. Excuse me, ma.
Yes, please.
Ma, is this the end of your class with us till
Madam.
exam, or we still have your lecture again before exam?
This is the last.
Class, okay, ma.
This
Thank
is
you,
my
ma.
last class. Yes. Thank you very much.
I
Thank you,
need to
ma.
do a revision.
Okay, so we'll still have other classes after this, right?
Yes.
When is the exam starting?
On
On the
And
Saturday, I
on
13th.
think
Saturday, ma.
Hmm?
2 days, Saturday
On,
and Sunday.
On Saturday.
sorry,
Which
it's 2 days.
Saturday and Sunday? Is a
No, it's
day,
just
Saturday
Saturday.
on the
It
13th.
says
That's
Saturday, I
the
No
note, right?
beg.
Saturday.
No, it's not
Yes,
just
Yes,
now.
ma'am.
Saturday.
It's on
Saturday and
Saturday.
Sunday. You should check the platform.
Okay.
Saturday and Sunday.
Hey.
Yeah, I think we have mentioned the bulk of what you will need. But if I discover that there's something you will need that we've not talked about, I'll find a way to reach out to one of you.
No problem.
Okay.
Thank you, ma'am.
All right. Thank you so very much, everyone.
Thank you
Okay,
too.
ma.
Bye, bye for
Thank
now.
Thank you,
Bye.
ma'am.
Bye.
Bye, ma.
Thank you.
Bye, ma. Thank you.
Okay, na.
This thing has been changed.